I used to want a lot of things in my life. I wanted a nice house, a nice car, millions in the bank, and the perfect husband, all these things. And I manifested and manifested and manifested. Nothing was really showing up in my life until I realized that what I wanted was actually not what I needed. So in this video, I want to explain to you how you can start to get to know yourself, really yourself, and then discover what is it that you really need instead of what you want. And then from there, you can actually create the life that is really meant for you. As always, hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Maddie. I'm a biologist, a shamanic practitioner, and an author. And on my channel, it's all about shamanism and how you can implement shamanic methods into your life to make it more happy and fulfilled. So yeah, this video is something that I'm also very passionate about. There are a lot of videos I'm passionate about, which is a good thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't make them, I guess. But also for you to understand that there are a lot of things you probably want in your life. Maybe, if you want to name a few right now, you want to have a beautiful house, you want to have a partner who loves you and makes you happy, or you want to have a specific car and millions in the bank. And you might have heard about manifestation and how manifestation could actually help you to get all these things. So you're manifesting, 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 and some of these things might already appear in your life, but you realize, it doesn't really feel as good as I thought it would. Like, having a lot of money in a bank, if you manifested from a point where you were sad and you were depressed and you were not happy with your life, then you will realize maybe the money would help a little bit in that moment because you can buy other things or you can go through therapy that make it little bit better. But you would also think like, I still don't feel quite right. What I thought I wanted was actually not really what I needed. And I want to explain a bit more why this is important when you start manifesting. I'll give you an example. When I was in my teens, I wasn't sure what I wanted to become. I wanted to be different things. A veterinarian. I wanted to be like a fashion designer, and what else, like a jewelry designer. And eventually I started studying biology. And I did that because I realized my dad was very much into nature. And I thought, okay, if I study biology, I would make him really proud of myself. That's all I wanted. I wanted to make him proud of myself. I wanted his love. I wanted his confirmation. I wanted his appreciation. So one day he was actually mentioning to me, why don't you study biology? Biology is very interesting. And I think there are a lot of biologists on the TV and they always say, very interesting stuff. And I was like, see, if I study biology, right, he would respect me. He would listen to me. He would think I'm a very intelligent person. So that's what I was doing. I started studying biology because I thought this is what I wanted. And I have to say, I really liked the whole academic system. I liked studying, I liked learning about nature, but there were also a lot of parts I didn't like. I didn't like chemistry, I didn't like physics, I didn't like mathematics. But I really pushed myself through because I had the goal of becoming a biologist. And then once I was a biologist, I was like, oh, now Dad, look, I have my graduation. And he didn't even show up to my graduation party. Or I think he was there briefly, but was not really much interested. Like there was no, oh, wow, Maddie, I'm so proud of you. No, that didn't happen. So I thought, okay, if I go further and I make my PhD, if I have a PhD now, then he must be proud of me, right? Then I would get all his love and all his his confirmation and all his appreciation. So 7 years later, I had finally my PhD. After 7 years of torture, I had to work two jobs besides my PhD, and I was physically and mentally exhausted. I was almost not existing anymore. But I had my PhD, right? Guess what? The day I had my graduation and my defense, my parents didn't show up. I called my mom and I said, now I have my PhD in biology, and she said, oh yeah, congratulations. And it's like, and what did Dad say? And she just looked at that, she's like, oh yeah, he just nodded with the head. And I thought, what? 7 years. I was, 7 years, like going crazy and then working my ass off, having all the illnesses on the way. Like I had really big problems with my mental health. Like I couldn't sleep anymore. I felt so much pressure. I became anorexic, and there were a lot of things like my health was just really going down the drain. And I thought, like, once I have my PhD, then everything will be fine. But it didn't. Like, I never got what I wanted. And then I realized at that point I was really on my lowest point, that something is really wrong here in my life, that I was running after things that was not bringing me the fulfillment I hoped. And because I had the wrong belief systems, I had the wrong goals. And it was at that year where I went to Japan to give a talk about my research. And eventually I ended up on a festival with the Ainu. I know I'm talking a lot about this because it was such a key moment in my life, because that was when I got in touch with shamanism. And so the first time in my life, I really went inside. I really took time. I started already meditation before that, where I kind of started getting in touch with my inner world and my inner self. But the shamanistic approach was really something different to me. And it really, I don't know, it really clicked with me. And so I sat in meditation, I did the shamanic journeys, and eventually I realized that all these years I was running after something that based on a wrong belief system, because my belief was that I'm not worthy, I am not loving, I'm not worth the love of my parents until I either become a biologist or, having a PhD. I probably would have also gone to the professor, then I would have become the professor, and then I would have received the love and the confirmation that I was looking for, because of the belief that I was not enough. And it didn't have anything to do with me. That was the joke behind it. It had nothing to do with me, but my parents were not able to appreciate me for what I was, because no one appreciated them for who they were, without working their asses off, without, really have to show something for it. There was no one in their lives who just loved them for who they were as a person. They always had to do more and to produce more and to earn more money and all this stuff, and buy more stuff and just show to the neighbors how much they have. And so this whole behavioral set was something that I really incorporated and really had ingrained in my mind. And when I was in Japan, I took 3 months off. I just had a lot of time for myself. And I sat down and I thought to myself, what is it that I want? What is that what I really, really, really want? And these 3 months, I had no plan. I was not planning to do anything. I was just really like following my intuition and allowed life to unfold in front of me. And in these 3 months, amazing things happened to me that showed me what I really, really want, who I really, really was. And for example, I spent a whole week, or I was like 2 weeks in a cabin by myself, not talking to anyone, just relaxing, meditating, writing, just doing the things that I loved. And I realized how much I needed silence in my life. I needed a very peaceful and calm schedule, like a way to live. And the life I used to live was the complete opposite. I was constantly in the doing mode. I was constantly writing and applying for money, and I was constantly working and talking to people and interacting and playing, oh, this is amazing. and just being part of a system that I don't want it to be part of deep down. That's why my body was just shutting off at one moment. It couldn't do it anymore. I had this lie going on in my head that everything that's happening here I really want, but my body knew differently. And when I finally gave in and gave myself the space and time to rest and relax, oh boy, that was amazing for me to just relax and realize all I want is peace. All I want is a house somewhere in nature. At that point, I hadn't met my husband, my now husband, not yet. So I was still single, which was okay at that point because I had a lot going on with myself anyways. I realized how much I wanted to have animals back in my life because of my work as a scientist. I was always away from home and I had no time for pets. So I realized, okay, another thing I want in my life are pets. I want to live with animals around me. And also I eventually want to be able to travel, just for a couple weeks, a year or something. And I just want to have a stress-less life, or a life with less stress that I have right now. And then I thought, okay, how can that be possible? How can I make this happen? So when I came back to Germany, I sat down and made a plan. I thought, like, okay, first of all, I have to step out of the whole academic system, because there is no way for me to live this life the way I want to right now. But once I realized what kind of an animal I am, and this is basically what I tell you in this video to do, figure out what kind of an animal are you? What do you really need? What are your needs and not your wants? The needs or the wants you think that you want is basically, it's overlapping your needs. Again, as I say, you might want money, but what you need is security. And you might get the security to, maybe you have a job that gives you the feeling, or you have a partner at your side, or you have to incorporate a specific spiritual practice in your life that makes you feel more secure and more safe. For me, there was absolutely a big thing in my life. I needed security. I wanted to feel secure and safe. And I was looking for the security in money, when I thought, okay, if I have a lot of money, I feel safe. But, I didn't realize that I was making money my savior. And I don't think that this is the job of money. Money is just a potential to make things happen and to exchange something, but it's not your savior. So I had to find this need of feeling safe somewhere else, because it was not coming through money, and I couldn't take anymore to just feel unsafe all the time. So eventually it came through the shamanic work, and it came through the connections with my spirits, that I started feeling safe. I started to trust myself. I felt safe with myself. I felt that I was able to make the right decisions when I have to. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be okay, because I know what to do next. And this is something that I would have never been able to pay or to buy myself with money, that feeling of safeness and trust and grounding. And that was always what I was looking for. Basically, always also with my parents, I was looking for security. I was looking for safety and a stable ground, that I felt, okay, I'm loved here. I am taken care of. My parents, they cheer for me, so I can feel safe here. That's all I was looking for in my life, safety. And I tried to find it in so many different ways that eventually just exhausted me, because it was the wrong way. So as a practice for you, for the next week or even 2 weeks, if you're very ambitious, take a journal with you, or you can also do it with your phone, whatever works better for you, and write down the situations where you do something. Right now, maybe you go in the morning to your job, and write down, why are you doing this? What do you think is the need underneath it? You want this because you want to have a career, you want to become a doctor, or you think, okay, wow, I'm going to my job because I really like what I'm doing. Then maybe this is exactly what you should do. Identify. So one step back. First, write down the things that you do during the day, and then you have one column. The next column is write down, why do you want to do this? So write down the wants. And then you have a third column, and you write down, why do you think you need this? What is actually your need underneath this? As I said, as an example, so you go to work, or you go to your university to study medicine, right? You want to become a doctor. So the want is, okay, I want to become a doctor because I want to help people. It's a very noble thing to do. And then you sit down and you go through the needs. Like, what is the underneath need? Maybe you want to help people because deep down you feel like you have to help others in order to live a fulfilled life, or in order to be seen as a good person. And is that really something that you enjoy? If so, keep going, right? But if you deep down feel, wait, I don't know, like, I like also other things to do where maybe I don't need to, help someone directly, or I could just do something else. I actually want to help animals, or, just really figure out if this something is that really resonating with your soul. And now I said it. I said the word soul, which I do think this is the most important part in the manifestation process. Ask your soul what it wants, and not so much your mind and your belief system. I keep talking about this, that our behavior is driven by the unconscious and the conscious part, and the unconscious part is way bigger than the conscious part. And I know there are a lot of coaches out there, manifestation coaches, who say you don't need to heal anything, you don't need to, look at your belief system, just do your affirmations, just do your scripting, and then things will appear. I disagree, because I've tried this. It was not working, or just partly working, but eventually it was not bringing me the life where I felt happy and fulfilled, because I was kept going. I kept going and trying to find the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. I was not creating a life that was meant for me. And I like to compare this with biology. When I wrote my second book, it was about stress. I mentioned that stress occurs when we live a life that is not meant for us in a way. So, for example, I studied the rabbits in the city, and the rabbits are very adaptable animals. They're able to live in a city because they can, change their diets and they change behavior. They're very general in their behavior, so they can adapt really well. But if you take, like, let's say, a snow leopard or a snow owl, and you put the snow owl in the city, the snow owl won't be happy there. They're not able to adapt to these crazy circumstances in the city because they're way too timid. They're way too rigid in their requirements. They need a specific diet. They are very timid. They, if they get disturbed really fast, they not breed anymore, for example. Whether the rabbits, they are still breeding. If you walk past their burrow system, they're not afraid. But an animal like the snow leopard or the snow owl, no way. That wouldn't work. And so you have to figure out, are you the rabbit or are you the snow leopard? And if you're the snow leopard, you can't live in the city, right? And then this is just like analogy, or like a how you say that, a picture in your mind that I try to create, to not be so rigid about it, but just try to figure out, what is it that you really need in your life? Maybe you need the party life in the city, and this is something you really enjoy. This is you. You like going out. You like the networking. You like talking to people. You like the party. Then this is you, and then go and enjoy this. I pushed myself into this role of a networker and going on conferences and going on book readings and, greeting all these people. And to one point, I liked it, but I felt overwhelmed very quickly with all these people around me. And I realized this is not for me. Yeah, maybe I can do a reading a month for an hour, but not every day, every week. So figure out who you are and what animal you are. What do you need? What are your requirements? What is your biology? You can really take this as a game, right? But for this, you have to know yourself. And this is how I did it as a behavioral biologist. I was observing animals. I was observing the rabbits and the fish. And I saw what they were doing in their natural environments, what kind of food they ate, when they ate, where they were mating, and all this stuff. I wrote it down to get to know them and to see if something happened to them, how they would adapt, and if that was a healthy adaptation, or an adaptation that eventually would lead to them to get sick and eventually extinct. So you can do the same thing with yourself, your own science project. And you are the behavioral biologist and the object at the same time, the rabbit and the behavioral biologist. You are the behavioral biologist and the rabbit at the same time. So you can observe yourself during the day. For that, of course, you have to have a specific distance from yourself. Like every time you catch yourself, you can just take a pause, a minute, get your writings down, your diary down, and write down what you just did, how you felt about it, what you were thinking about it, why you think you were doing this. And then eventually you think on later, and then you think about the need. For those of you who already have more to do with the shamanic approach of it, like meaning you already know your spirit animal, maybe you all know how to do the shamanic journeying, you can directly ask your spirits and ask them, what is it that I really need in my life? Not what I want, not, all the houses and the cars and the money and all that. What is it that I really, really need? Do I need the partner because I'm actually a very social person and I love to live in a relationship? Do I need to move to the city because I enjoy networking? Would that feel much better for me? Or do I need more live in the countryside? Do I need more silence in my life? What is it that I need in order to really be true to myself and to be true to my own nature? And from all the approaches, from all the things that I've tried, this was basically the only thing that eventually really led me to a life where I felt happy. I don't have all the crazy houses and all the money and all the cars that I used to wish for. I have a lot of other good things in my life. And actually, I have the car that there came one car in my life that I would have never thought of would be my dream car. It's a pink Jeep, a TJ from 1996, and I just love that car. Eventually, it just came to me, and I would have never thought, because I thought, oh, it has to be the Porsche or the Ferrari that I would enjoy. But who thought I'm enjoying old Jeeps, and I don't know, it's just amazing. It's also cabrio, so like a convertible. It's just, yeah. Anyways, I'm just telling you, what you think you want is maybe not what you really need. So get all these ideas out of your head. Be open about the things that really want to appear in your life. And then from there, just let yourself guide yourself, like let your intuition guide yourself. Open yourself up to the possibilities that are out there. As I said, when I was in Japan, I had no plan. I had no idea of what I wanted to do there, what I wanted to experience. I was not planning anything. I was just open to the moment. And I was like, saying, okay, whatever I have to experience, I want to experience this. And then magically, things kind of lined up in the most amazing ways. And I talked about this in other videos as well, where I was part of a Shinto ritual that would have been impossible to be part of as a woman not being from Japan. So a double whammy, right? All these things happen. I met an amazing man on the journey who taught me so much about myself and my beliefs about myself. These beliefs are core to look at in order to change your life, because these beliefs, they are running, I would say, 80% your life. If you believe that you're not worthy, if you believe that you have to work hard to get love, if you believe that you have to have a certain size and look a certain way to be worth something, then this is exactly what you will experience. And it will come in your outer world as people who, will deny your love, or who will make you feel unloved unless you do something for them. And these people they're not evil. They just are basically giving you what you are thinking about yourself. They're just reflecting your behavior. They're confirming your thoughts about yourself. That's why it is so helpful to just look around in your environment and see, okay, who is there, how they are treating me. And what the most important question, I just recently learned that from, I think his name is Ramon Osa. I think that he has a very nice channel about also manifestation, which I can highly recommend. And he said, there's one question you can ask yourself that will help you so much in your manifestations. And this is, what would I have to think about myself, to believe about myself, to in order to create all of this? What do I have to believe about myself that this is my reality? For example, with myself, when I was so sick from working so hard, and then I still didn't get any appreciation, and I still didn't get the credits for my work that I wanted to, what do I have to believe about myself in order to create this? And I think I would have to believe about myself that I'm not worth anything, that I'm not worth, that I can work as much as I want and I will never get what I want, that I have to prove myself over and over and over again. This is what I would think about myself. Or the same thing like with money. If money is not coming in, what is it that you have to think about yourself in order to create the situation that you're not worth it? You're not worth having a lot of money, or you're not able to attract money, you're not able to manage money, all these things. That is something you can ask yourself about a specific situation. What do I have to think about myself in order to create this situation? And I find this question so powerful and so helpful. That will help you to discover a lot of your beliefs. And believe me, when I say there is no way around it, there is no way around this work to discover who you are, what you think about yourself, and then what you basically need in your life in order to live the life that you're looking for. We're all looking for the same things. We want to live a happy life, a safe life. We want to have love in our lives, appreciation. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We just want to be to be part of something bigger, maybe as well, having a purpose, all these things. And that's why we do the things we do. But sometimes we do detours like crazy in order to get what we want, whereas the solution is right there. There's that one story, you probably heard it already, about that a fisherman. So there was I think that's in Thailand somewhere. So there's a fisherman sitting on his on the shore, and he's fishing. And then there's like an American businessman coming at his side and said, "Oh yeah, this is cool. You're fishing here." And he said, "Yeah." And then the American businessman, so what else are you doing during the day? And he said, yeah, after fishing, I'll just go home. I spend some time with my wife and with the kids, and then have a little nap, and then I'll go play with my friends and have another nap, and I have a good dinner, and that's it. And tomorrow I'll do the same thing. And so the American businessman says, well, if you would invest in your fisher business, you could have a couple boats, and then you could also hire other fishers so that you would eventually pour in more fish. You could start like building a little empire and having more and more money and all of this. So he was really, creating the whole picture. And so the fisherman says, like, why would I do that? Well, the businessman, again, he said with, bright eyes, glowing eyes, like, well, yeah, and then you could retire with 60, and then you can spend time with your kids and your wife and your friends and have all the good meals and all that. And then the fisherman looks at him and is like, why would I do all of this? Because I already have it, right? And I think this is a nice story which shows that, what you need is maybe already in front of you. You don't need to go all the detour. As I said, I spent 6 years in university for my studies, for my diploma, and another 7 years for my PhD. And I'm not saying that all of this was wasted time, but I would say I could have saved a lot of nerves and stuff if I would have realized what I really, really needed in my life. It was not the PhD eventually. But yeah, this also brought me where I am here. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's nice to know what you want and need. And, you can also go the short way to it, but also you can also really see at your own potential and see what's possible. Just with that fisherman, maybe he wanted to try out, how would it feel like if I expand, if I build a little bigger business. Doesn't need to be like a huge one, but a bigger business to maybe also give others the opportunity to have work and, pull money in. So maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle, where you can also try to become the version of yourself that has a lot of impact on the world in a very good way. Like for me, realizing, sometimes it's not so easy to sit down and recording these videos, thinking about what else could I say. I could just sometimes like, no one will really look at it, or so I try to tell myself it's some in vain, or talking down myself. But if just one person watches this video and it will help them in a way that makes their life better, then my job is already done and it was worth it. So expanding your knowledge and trying to really live your full potential is something that is important. But if you don't know what you need and then eventually how to get there, this is a tough one, because then we're just getting lost and we're doing and doing and doing. And, I was lucky because I kind of woke up, was that mid 30, where I just hit a wall and I was exhausted and I just couldn't anymore. I was closer to death than life, and I didn't see any sense in my life anymore. So I had to change something. I had to stop, to readjust myself and reorientate. And I would have not thought that this will end up becoming a shamanic practitioner, but here I am, right? So don't wait until you hit a wall. Start doing it now so you can reorganize yourself. You can reorientate yourself. And this is the right place to be here also with my channel, because I want to help you with this. Specifically also with the shamanic work, because I think this is such an amazing tool. If you connect with your helping spirits, and of course for that you have to open yourself up to the possibility that there is actually such thing as a spirit and helping spirits and spirit animals, that this is this helped me so much in my life to give myself orientation and a direction. And I'll just love to share this. So yeah, that was what I wanted to say today. To sum it up, get to know yourself, get to know what kind of an animal you are, what is it that you really need, what is the need underneath your wants, and then from there you can start rebuilding your life and re-manifesting it from something you don't want anymore to a life that you really enjoy and that is actually yours, that is a life meant for you, that you not try to live as a snow leopard in the city because you think you have to, because the rabbit does it, so you have to do it too. But more, where does the snow leopard lives and where is it the most happiest? So yeah, that's it. I hope this analogy made sense and you like this video. If you have questions, if you want me to talk about a specific topic as well, then you can just drop me a comment or you write me an email. Happy to hear from you. Until then, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.